soon, you boys will be sailing into war. And in that place, there's only you and your mates.
We can't be the only ones left. Nearly 200 men gone on that bloody ship.
Every hour we drift further away from where they'll be looking.
What the hell was that? Never seen a shark like that before.
There's dozens of dead bodies out there for it to munch on.
He's gonna die.
Shut up, this.
On the battlefield, there's only you and your mates. All you've got are your mates.
She'll be back.
Hello everybody and welcome to the entertainment headquarters and welcome to another review. And this is probably the first review I've probably done in quite a while for a brand new feature film, because as you know, we're in the month of October and I've been dedicating this month to the werewolves. That's right, Fear the Wolf, the month of werewolves, is a month-long special on the channel. I've created a playlist, so if you would like to check out any of those streams or any of that content out, knock yourself out. But today I thought I'd take a break from the world of werewolves and check out a brand new shark movie. A movie that I had heard a little bit about but didn't dig into it in great detail. So that particular movie is this one. Beast of War. That's right. And this is like a medium budget movie. It was filmed in Queensland and I can tell you it was quite the interesting and enjoyable ride. So let's talk a little bit about it. Let's get cracking. So the premise of the movie is as followed. A group of young soldiers fresh out of boot camp find themselves stranded on a raft in the middle of the ocean after their ship is sunk by the enemy and must battle for their lives against a 20-foot great white shark. So this isn't anything new plot-wise. It's kind of the old trope that we've had in many, many low-budget, very hollow kind of shark movies. But this one is set in the Timber Sea, just, off the coast of Australia. And it's set in the World War II setting. And so that gives this a bit of an edge. And this film was directed by Kia Roach-Turner and it stars Mark Coles-Smith as Leo. It stars Joel Kankervis as Will, and it also stars Sam Delich as Des. And I can tell you, when I first heard of this movie, I thought, here we go, another shark movie. What makes this stand out from the ones we've had? We've had Under Paris, which was boring as fuck. Deep Fear, which was a CGI shark disaster. But what's the one thing every one of these modern shark films says? It's going to be the next Jaws. Well, at the end of the day, nothing's going to break the success of Jaws in the atmosphere, because that was the first. It's never going to be duplicated. But Beast of War really does a great job of trying its very best to bring things that other shark films haven't been able to do. And the uniqueness is the World War II setting. So the lead character is Leo, and it starts off with him in boot camp with a group of other soldiers. So here is the character of Leo, who, like I say, he is played by Mark Cole Smith, and these are the guys in boot camp with them. And this is the character of Will, who is played by Joel Nakervis. And then you have this character, who is Des, played by Sam Delich, and he is in many ways the douchebag, the villain of the film outside of the Great White Shark. So basically, you see these guys training in boot camp at the beginning of this movie. It feels very much set in World War II. It's dingy, it's grimy, they're covered in mud, it's raining, it's very much the wartime feel. And they're in boot camp, and then they get their first assignment, which is to cross the Timber Sea on a boat to join the forces on the other side during the war with the Japanese. And as they're traveling on their boat, their ship is attacked by Japanese forces, and this is where all hell breaks loose. But prior to that, when during the boot camp segment of the film, they really tried to build on the character. So you get to know the character of Leo, who is a Kiwi. He's from New Zealand. He's now in this boot camp with the Australian, trainee soldiers. But they don't, Des takes an instant dislike into him, considers him an outsider. There's undertones of racism in this movie. And then you have the character of Will, who's quite shy and reserved, who gets picked on. And, Leo decides upon himself to kind of be like a big brother type, protector. And that stems from flashbacks that you see throughout the course of the film of Leo, while he was in New Zealand. He was out on a small wooden dinghy with, I'm assuming, his younger brother. They were diving in the ocean looking for, things, shells, anything valuable, clams. And an incident happened which changes Leo's life forever. And so he very much sees Will, I guess, is somebody that he's kind of trying to make up for events that happened in his past by protecting Will from Des and his, bully mates. And that was the backstory in the camp. And then, like I say, as they are on this boat going across the Timber Sea, the Japanese soldiers attack. The boat is totally obliterated. They are literally, there are bodies just in the water, decapitated, de-armed, heads rolling around the water. It's quite gruesome, quite gory, quite, gives you the sense of the dread and the dangers and the heaviness of war. And, you have, when they're attacked, Will ends up in the water. Leo ends up protecting them and saving them and takes them to a dinghy that, a dinghy that's like a raft slash dinghy floating around. He manages to get him on there, even though he's badly hurt. And of course, there's a handful of survivors that also make it to the raft slash dinghy and it is Des and his mates. How typical that they would be the only survivors, the ones who are the dickheads. But anyway, they make it to the raft, and as they are trying to figure a way how they're going to survive, the events that transpired, something a lot greater and dangerous decides to show up, and it is a 20-foot female great white shark. And you soon get, the film turns from a wartime movie about wartime survival to these individuals, these young trainee soldiers trying to survive the ultimate predator in the ocean. And when I tell you, this shark is absolutely terrifying. It looks gruesome. It puts fear in your bones. And there are some quite, shocking moments in this in terms of how they use the shark. You don't see a lot of the shark, but when you do see the shark, like that image shows, it is really terrifying. And the great thing about the director at this movie, this film was filmed in Queensland. It was filmed on a soundstage. It was filmed in a water tank. It wasn't on location like on a beach or in the open water. It was filmed on a soundstage with amazing lighting, amazing cinematography that really brought the dread and the atmosphere. And why this film stands out from a lot of current shark movies is a lot of current shark movies that may have a low budget or a medium-sized budget, like Beast of War. They use horrendous CGI. It comes across hollow, it comes across unbelievable. The stories just in the movies themselves just come across just hollow, just not fun, and just don't capture what you expect from a shark film. This, for me, delivered in atmosphere, tone, the feels of real war, and of course the dread of a shark. And it does it in a wartime World War II setting, and it works for me perfectly in this film. And another thing that stands out, not just the cinematography, the tone, the use of smoke and fire and atmosphere and all that, they actually use practical effects. So this is part of the shark that was used throughout the course of the filming of this film. And as you can see, this thing looks dangerous, it looks angry, it looks menacing, and of course, it's something that's pulled out of your nightmares. And all of this, like I say, was filmed on a soundstage in Queensland. And I just think they've done a brilliant job at delivering a film that will never be Jaws. But they did, it's definitely a film that is 100% in many ways in how they executed the shark. A faithful tribute to Jaws. So, for example, at the beginning of the movie Jaws, there is a scene where you see a woman swimming and you just see her getting pulled under the water. You can't see the shark, but you clearly know what's happening. This particular scene is one of the first times you see the shark attack. And it's very much in the same vein as that scene, where you have this soldier who jumps on a barrel and he's using it to swim towards the raft, when suddenly below him you can see something pull on his legs, and the next thing you know, he's gone. And it really delivers, the atmosphere and the tone. And throughout that scene, something else becomes apparent as these soldiers are on this, raft trying to survive the shark attack. They also have to find a way to communicate with each other. They have to find a way to put their differences aside. They really have to find a way to try and adapt and put, like the character Des, who's the douchebag, he's still trying to be the top dog. He's still trying to, be the top prick of the group. And Leo is doing everything he can to, look after Will, who's injured after the events of being attacked by the Japanese. And all of this is going on at the same time as this shark is slowly circling around the raft. And it becomes a game of cat and mouse between them and the shark. And of course, the Japanese are still about as well, circling the area in their plane, looking for survivors of the initial attack and trying to take them out one by one. So it's just a movie that has a lot of dread, a lot of atmosphere, and a lot of danger. And it amplifies it with the great cinematography, the tones, the colours, the music score. And there's a particular thing with the shark that really stands out. There's an event that happens where the guy who I showed you, who's sitting on that barrel, who's trying to escape, he has they have a siren now, when they used to play the siren to let you know that they were being attacked. He was using the siren as a oar to swim the barrel towards the raft. And when he's attacked and he's dragged under the water, there's one particular scene where he's trying to save himself and hitting the shark with the siren, but it gets lodged inside the shark, and and it's sticking out of the shark. And whenever the shark's going past or it's swimming around the distance, you can hear the echoing of the siren, and it comes across like this growl effect, which even makes the shark even more terrifying. And it also signals to let them know how close the shark is to them. So it really gives that extra element. It very much reminds me of the scene in Jurassic Park 3 where the Spinosaurus swallows the guy at the front of the plane. And whenever the Spinosaurus is near, his phone is beeping and ringing inside the gut of the Spinosaurus. And it's around somewhere, hiding in a bush behind the tree. It's in the valley somewhere. That is very much something that they did with the shark throughout the course of the movie, which also adds more atmosphere and dread. And it keeps you on your toes, wondering where the fuck this shark is. But for me, it's a very good, well put together movie. If I had any negative, I would say it's a bit predictable. There are certain elements of the movie I thought were quite predictable, but even though I saw things coming, I still very much enjoyed it for what it was. And this particular scene where Leo actually ends up in the water and you get to see the shark in full view was pretty much terrifying. And it does give you, Jaws feels in. It's like Jaws set at wartime, this particular movie. That's how I would describe it. The time you see the shark delivers. It delivers the dread. It delivers the fear. It delivers the atmosphere. The setting, stuck in the open water in the Timber Sea during, World War II, with the Japanese somewhere around at the same time as this shark, very much adds the weight of this film. And as for the cast I thought did a brilliant job. The lead actor who plays Leo, and with his character-driven story, which when you discover ins and outs of his backstory and why he's so protective of Will, you really feel for him. You really do. Mark Cole-Smith is the one who plays Leo, and Sam Delich, who plays Des, the dickhead guy who thinks he's top dog. He plays that role so well that you do generally love to dislike him. Generally did. Out of the three main cast members, the weakest one is probably Joel McCurvis, who plays Will, because he plays just a straightforward shy guy who's being looked after by Leo, and nothing else really comes from that character other than him trying to build his confidence up in a really dreadful situation. But the director, Kia Roach Turner, I think the fact that he could create such a compelling story in a sound stage in Queensland, Australia, and use practical effects, it's like a wartime tribute to the original Jaws. And I give him props for doing that. I really do. I thought he did create, for me, probably the most fun shark genre movie we've had in quite some time. I think I prefer this over The Meg. 100% prefer this over Under Paris, which was boring as fuck as far as I'm concerned. That was just so unrealistic, just so stupid. I would say this for me is on par with the Deep Blue Sea in terms of shark movies. I love the original Deep Blue Sea. That was another film that tried to use kind of the things that made Jaws popular, but do something different and unique with it, with the Mako sharks, and using them and making them intelligent, and the whole underwater lab scenario. This though takes it back to basics, but in the wartime setting, and it works perfectly. So if I am going to rate The Beast of War, I think I'm going to give it a strong 8 out of 10, because I very much think it's going to be a film that it's not on the level of Jaws, because no film I think will ever get there in terms of the shark genre, but it's definitely a fabulous, in my opinion, wartime tribute to the original Jaws. And I think this will become a firm fan favourite for those who like the shark film genre. So 8 out of 10 for me. If you've seen Beast of War, let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed it. I certainly did, because I love the practical effects. I love that they did something different. The same kind of formula, but in a different setting, and it works. But let me know if you liked it or if you hated it. If you know a shark film that you'd like to recommend, let me know in the comments below. Like I say, this is the middle of October. Please check out Fear the Wolf, the Month of Werewolves playlist, if there's anything there you'd like to check out. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Entertainment Headquarters. And like I always say, keep loving your movies, keep loving all things entertainment, and we'll catch us all at the next one. We'll be right back.